Hello, hello, hello. We are pleased to have you join us for today's webinar, Online Donation Campaigns with Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement. The reason why we're excited about this is because this particular offering represents a milestone in Soapbox Engage and what it has to offer the nonprofit sector. And that's right in conjunction with a major announcement from Microsoft for its fundraising and engagement suite that is still brand new. So we're excited to jump into the details here of what we have to offer. My name is Tim Forbes. I'm the VP of Products and Marketing here at PicNet. PicNet is the company behind Soapbox. Soapbox Engage is a suite of online engagement tools that are designed to help organizations raise more money and change the world. That's a lofty statement, but it is what gets us up and into work every morning, at least virtually these days. The way that happens is through a series of online engagement tools that allow you to raise money online, whether it's with a simple online donation form, a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign, or a virtual activity fundraiser to replace that annual event you did pre-pandemic. We also offer online event registration tools, online advocacy tools, an e-commerce solution, and we're excited to bring this webinar to you today to talk specifically about our donations app and how it integrates with Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement. So first off, just to lay the groundwork, since fundraising and engagement for Dynamics 365 sales is a big mouthful that was an announcement from Microsoft just recently, it's helpful to kind of break down what that all means for nonprofits. Essentially, Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement for Dynamics 365 sales is an out-of-the-box offering for organizations that tricks out the Dynamics app within Microsoft for nonprofits to use specifically, so that they can manage gifts, memberships, events, grants, custom data. Coupled with its broad extensibility features, it gives organizations access to fundraising information nearly anywhere they're using Microsoft tools, including Outlook, Excel, Word, and Teams. And to top it all off, it's free for the first set of licenses. So we see a lot of possibilities here, and it's helpful to touch on some of those just now before we get into the specifics of our integrations with fundraising and engagement, or F&E. Because fundraising and engagement, with those connections with the rest of Microsoft's offering, touches on a lot of apps that organizations already use. Folks are going to be able to access data from what Microsoft is calling the Common Data Service. That is where all of the information in Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement gets saved. You can access that common data service from other apps like in Word. So you could compose mail merge letters to send to constituents who donated to you this last fundraising year. You'd be able to open up a fundraising and engagement data set directly in Excel to review and edit it without worrying about exports or merges or other clunky approaches. And connections between fundraising and engagement in Teams will likely emerge, so that, like Soapbox donation notifications that we'll talk about here in a moment, you can push data to where people are already working and collaborating, so you could have, say, your fundraising team get instant notifications about donations that come in through their websites. So there's a lot of opportunity to have fundraising and engagement be not just the place that data resides about your donors and those donations, but ways that you can plug that data into other ways that you're using the Microsoft platform. Now, one thing that we're just intrigued by in all of this is that there are all these possibilities inherent in combining all the different Microsoft offerings with this powerful purpose-built CRM in fundraising and engagement for Dynamics. We want to help organizations realize those possibilities while also recognizing some common needs that we can help fill. So what does that mean exactly? While you can process donations as a nonprofit staff person directly in fundraising and engagement, there isn't a public-facing web page to offer to your visitors so that they can donate. Now, that, as noted earlier, coincidentally, is the core of what we offer, online engagement tools for nonprofits. So imagine having all of your online donations saved directly to fundraising and engagement for Dynamics, so that any gift given online is instantly added to your CRM in exactly the way the Common Data Model expects. So whether it's your main online donation form for your website or a campaign-specific form you created to address an immediate need, a peer-to-peer fundraising campaign that rallies your most dedicated donors to urge their social networks to support you, or a virtual activity fundraiser that's transforming supporter sweat into dollars for your cause, you'd be able to see all of that donation data in fundraising and engagement in real time. What's more, imagine being able to set up notifications that push information about online donations directly to a channel in Microsoft Teams, while providing a button to easily access the full detail of that donation, allowing your development team to keep tabs on their fundraising efforts in real time using the collaboration tool that they're already using throughout the day in Microsoft Teams. Not a bad way to follow the progress of a big fundraising effort like Giving Tuesday or other events throughout the year. Well, with Soapbox Engage, you don't have to imagine those things. So let's go ahead and move from the imaginary to the very real and take a moment to get specific about our online integrations or our tools that integrate our online web forms with Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement. So here we have a donation form that we have set up. Actually, I'm going to go to a different tab here, one of many. This is a standard donation page within Soapbox Engage. There are a number of different variations that we could have here. This could represent a main donation page for an organization's website. We can also have a number of other efforts here for virtual activity fundraisers. So if we want to go to an example there of this fund run, we could have an activity fundraiser where folks are pledging to run, say, 10 kilometers and have that progress tracked in terms of their activity commitment, as well as their specific commitment to raise a certain amount of money. Same thing could be true for just a straight up peer-to-peer fundraising campaign without the sweat involved. We've got the ability to set these up so that you can have folks organize themselves as part of teams. All of that is available in our donations app, and all of that is available to integrate with fundraising and engagement. Now back to the example of your standard donation page for a given organization. We've got a very simple one here. We're asking for folks to contribute either on a one-time or monthly basis. With all of the tools within the donations app, you've got a ton of flexibility to manage what you show on the front end to visitors. So you could elect to have just one-time donations, just monthly or annual donations, a combination of the two here. You've got a lot of flexibility in how this information is presented. You can customize the predefined amounts that are specific to one-time donations or specific to monthly donations. There's a lot of flexibility that you have in this section, as well as the information that you choose to get from folks in the contact information section. And the first little bit that we see here that is specific to the integration with fundraising and engagement is, in addition to standard fields like name and email address or receive our newsletter that can be included in your donation form, you also have the ability to include custom fields that you create in fundraising and engagement and then include on the donation form. So in this case, this "How did you learn about our organization" is a custom field created in fundraising and engagement and included here on the form. Moving further down, we've got the ability to designate a donation in honor or in memory of someone. This can be turned on or off by you as an administrator. You can turn on or off the various fields here to collect information about that dedication. We've got the secure payment form. What happens here is that we're going to go ahead and if a credit card is selected, swipe that credit card behind the scenes here with a payment processor of your choice. There are about 7 that we integrate with. We also offer the option for folks to go off to PayPal to complete the transaction, or if you use authorize.net as your payment processor, you can also use the ACH or eCheck option to have the transaction run directly against a bank account. The last option here is the cover the transaction fee. Again, this is an option that can be turned on and off for folks, and you can set this to be whatever percentage transaction fee you deem necessary for covering your costs based on what payment processor you use or other factors. So we've gone ahead and filled out this form as Mr. Samuel Jackson. If we go ahead and click Make Payment, as noted, the credit card is going to process behind the scenes. We're going to get a thank you message that can be customized by you as an administrator. And then when we go back into Soapbox, our first glance at the Soapbox administrator, we see that here's Samuel Jackson's donation. We get some information about that just in the table here. And then if we drill down to the transaction detail view, we get to see here is the Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement record ID. And in fact, if we go over to Dynamics and Fundraising and Engagement, we can pull up this record that was just created from Soapbox Engage. We've got that custom text field where Samuel Jackson let us know that he found out about our organization through Google. You'll notice that the label here in F&E, in Fundraising and Engagement, is different than what we saw on the front end. On the front end of Soapbox, we saw the full question of how did you hear about our organization. That's one of the features of Soapbox, is that you're able to include these custom questions, but then alter the label on the front end to provide default values for that field, create hidden fields if you want to pass values to fundraising and engagement that you don't need the donor to see. There's a lot of flexibility that you've got there for pushing this data to fundraising and engagement. If we go on the other tabs, we see more details about the gift. We see that total of $102.50. We see that it was a credit card, the date that it was processed, the transaction ID, a number of other details about the card that we just used, as well as an appeal, a campaign, a fund. Those are all elements, a package, those are all elements that we'll see more about in a moment when we look deeper into the Soapbox administrator. We've got additional information where we've got first name, last name for the donor, the address information, the email address, whether or not it was an individual or an organization. Soapbox does have the ability to show or hide an organization field in the contact information of the donation form. that was hidden in the particular example that we had, but if that was enabled and filled out by the donor, then the organization name would be populated here, and the donor type would be organization rather than individual. We've got tribute information that can come over if we had filled that out. So all of this is a record that gets created within fundraising and engagement in real time on the donation import object, so that this information can then get pushed to where it needs to go within fundraising and engagement. Now, to take a look at some of the options that we've got in the donation form itself, to see how all of this fits together. If we open up the edit view of that Give Now page that we saw, we see a number of different tabs here that represent a ton of options that you have for customizing the user experience for the Donations app. Among those are those contact information fields that we saw. And here on the contact information tab, we see first name, last name, email address are always displayed, always required. We've got phone, organization that can be shown or hidden, required if they're shown if you'd like. You've got the ability to allow somebody to designate their donation as anonymous, to let you know that they'd prefer not to have their information publicly available to folks. You've got the ability within the Donations app to customize pretty much every stitch of text that we saw on the front end, to show or hide various elements, to alter the language to your heart's content. That's all available to you. And then for fundraising and engagement, we saw that one field for how did you learn about our organization. Here is where we added that as a custom field within Soapbox. And adding or editing a field is just as easy as clicking the edit button or clicking the add element button, so that we can go ahead and see details within Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement itself, or alter various elements on the Soapbox side. So here in the dropdown, we get to see all of the different fields in F&E that are available to us to include on the form. We see what field type it is. We see the default label from fundraising and engagement that we can change if we wish, alter default value, set a number of other elements regarding this field as we wish. With the other tabs here, we've got tons of ability, as noted earlier, to set the payment options in terms of payment frequency, in terms of predefined amounts. We can set the dedication, whether or not that information shows up or not, determine whether or not we're accepting major credit cards, bank transfers, allowing folks to use PayPal, whether or not the transaction fee can be covered. That's something you can turn on or off. And then getting into the integration itself, what we have here on the integration tab is the ability to turn on or off Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement integration for this particular form. What we do in order to set it up for the site is put in some credentials that allow Soapbox to authenticate, to access your fundraising and engagement instance. And then once that's done, you can go ahead and choose to enable this for a given donation form. And within that, choose, if you wish, to associate this form with a given campaign, a given appeal, a given designation, a given package within fundraising and engagement. So we go ahead and open up this option here. We can see what has been selected. We can also see the other options that are available for us, in this case for the campaign, and we can search to find one that we would like to choose. So that is true for each and every one of these aspects within fundraising and engagement, all to help you organize your data in fundraising and engagement for your donation forms as you see fit. In addition to that integration that we have that pushes data to fundraising and engagement, we have the ability to create notifications from the donations app that push details of a given donation to Microsoft Teams in a particular channel that you provide the webhook for here, and that will go ahead and update the channel with details of a given donation as those donations come in. So that is an overview of our integration between the donations app and fundraising and engagement. As noted earlier, this integration works for all of the different types of campaigns that you can run through the donations app, whether it's your general donation form, something that's specific to a given time-bound fundraising effort that you've got, whether it's a peer-to-peer donation campaign or a virtual activity fundraiser, or if you're using the donations app to accept member dues payments. All of that information can get pushed to fundraising and engagement in real time to empower your organization to get the most out of Microsoft's new offering. The donations app is the first app that we've created integrations for between Soapbox and Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement. We are going to be continuing to add integration to our other apps as time goes on, from our events app, so you can get event registrations within Dynamics, our forms app, so you can easily create web forms that push data to Microsoft Dynamics. All of those things are going to be coming in the future, as well as another thing that we're particularly excited about with the donations app, which is the ability to embed a donation form from Soapbox into a Microsoft Teams meeting, so that you can offer folks the opportunity to donate to your organization within the Microsoft Teams user experience without ever leaving the meeting. All of those things are in the works. They're all things that we're going to be adding to Soapbox's integration with Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement. If you are interested in keeping track of those future updates or other iterations that we have on the donations app integration with fundraising and engagement, feel free to go to soapboxengage.com. Once there, you can sign up for our monthly newsletter so that we can let you know about those developments. Or if you're interested, you could also sign up for a demo of our Soapbox Donations app so that you can test drive the integration between donations and Microsoft Fundraising and Engagement, or donations and Microsoft Teams. As always, we wish you much mission success. Thanks for hanging out with us for this half hour, and we appreciate the time. Take care.